How you doing? I was actually charging in there. Got in these two huge 200 amp hour lithium batteries, exactly identical to this one back here, the Power Queen 12 volt, 200 amp hour lithium iron phosphate. I'm actually, some friends of mine in Florida have a cabin here in Kentucky. I have a cabin in Kentucky, and I'm outfitting it for them and putting in a solar setup, and they're coming up last week to look at it, one of my friends, and yeah, but I've actually just been going actually full tilt on putting stuff in their cabin and making it the place to go for when and if things hit. It's better to be prepared, not need it, than need it and not be prepared at all. Talking about trading for things, skills are so important. Here's a perfect example, by the way. Good evening. This is the new microphone that I'm using, by the way. I had to get rid of the other one. It was actually over-modulating. Because I did some leather work for a guy, and he didn't have PayPal, and I was like, well, I can, and this, I've only ever done this like 5 or 6 times, used Amazon gift card in exchange for, and I'm not a fan of Amazon by any means, but the guy really wanted some leather goods from me, and traded an Amazon gift card for the leather goods, and I'm building something, and I actually used the money to buy this. I already have one of these. This is a SIG Romeo 5 red dot. It's a very inexpensive, it's less than $150 red dot sight. So my skills transform my leather rolls into something useful that somebody wants, and that gets transformed into something useful that I want. There's a perfect example. Talk is cheap. I actually do the things that I'm talking about. I don't want you to think I'm sitting behind this camera all the time, just merely talking. Here's the actual Klein Tools voltmeter that I was using to check the voltage while I'm actually charging. I got in 2 of them today. They have a 70% charge, the 400 amp hours of lithium to go with their solar rig, and they got solar panels coming next week for their cabin. And I know I've invented a neat little kickstand to put in there. So checking the voltmeter, 13.1 volts is roughly a 70% charge. I wanted to talk about something important, and by the way, if you come into live stream tonight, I can show you the picture. As a friend of mine, I don't want to say her name, but she's been watching me for years, and she called me last night, and she told me about a horrible incident, and I've been talking about this for years now. I said this would happen, and it's exactly what's happening, and it's escalating faster and faster. And that she was in a Chinese restaurant with her mother, and some young teenage girls came in, and they were vaping and blowing the vape smoke at everybody. About as rude as you can get. This is in Fresno, California, by the way. I don't want to know the name of the Chinese restaurant, say it on air, because that's not their fault, obviously, even though she told me the name of it. And she sent me the pictures of these young teenage girls, and they started begging her, and she's a teacher, and her mother for money, and they said no, and they were blowing, doing this number and in their face, and they said that was rude to these teenage girls, and the girls picked up the water and threw it in her face. I don't know if it threw it in her mother's face also, and which is an assault. And then they actually took the food that they already had packaged up, like a to-go bag or a doggy bag, whatever you want to call it, and stole their food, and went outside, and they looked at what the food was, and they followed them out, and I have the pictures of it, and you could see in the background the food all over the floor. They opened up the food, and they saw it was something unappetizing they weren't interested in eating, so they just threw all the food all over the floor, the cement outside of the Chinese restaurant. And exactly what happened that I knew would happen before she even told me. She called the police, and they don't care. They don't show up. I mean, this whole defund the popo thing is, of course, ridiculous, and you know, you really have to be extremely unintelligent to believe in that. That's not good for anybody. There's all these people actually cheerleading for the stuff like that back a few years ago. Anyway, there's a whole lot of de-evolution going on. The kids throwing water and stealing the food, and then taking the food and throwing it out on the concrete outside of the Chinese restaurant. You show up in live stream, I'll actually show you that, or even in the next live stream. I have it on my phone. She sent me those images. By the way, my friends in Australia told me about huge power outage. I think there's over 10 million people for a significant period of time were without power. More and more people are becoming homeless. People are lined up around the block for a very tiny, small rental in Ireland. The homeless population, even here, which is essentially non-existent. I mean, you really basically have to go to one or two spots here in Lexington to find a homeless person. I mean, here it's not crazy at all, but I mean, there's a lot of places which just absolutely reach unbelievable levels. Homelessness has absolutely skyrocketed in Australia. People need to have things in the future going forward, and people realize it, because this is the reason why nobody wants to work anymore. It's like, well, no matter how hard I work, I can't get ahead. And I want to talk about important things. The first things to vanish when the brown, smelly stuff hits the fan. The first things that'll vanish. And if there's something I've forgotten on some of the first things that'll vanish, please add it in the comments below. I'll read every comment. We could all actually gain insight from each other. I've done a whole lot of thinking on this, but this is a specific list about things that will be the first things to vanish. And of course, you certainly cannot add everything that will vanish on this list that I'm going to do in this video, but the primary things. But if there's something really important, please list it below, and we'd all like to learn. I am an information sponge. I'm always like, well, I had not considered that before. That's quite important. Thank you for contributing that. I'm that type of person. And you can help other people too by contributing on that front. By the way, I say this and I mean it because I look at land every day. I help people find land. I myself have a significant amount of land, whatever you want to call significant is. But here in Kentucky, and basically a couple of other states, really, but Kentucky's #1 best for this, for $25,000, no ifs, ands, or buts, anybody could get a tiny home, a wood-burning stove, and roughly 3 to 5, maybe even a little bit more acres of land. So 25 grand, which is the cost of a crummy truck, or I mean a crummy SUV from like the year 2015. 25 grand doesn't really get you much, huh? For like a 10-year-old, like 60, 70, 80,000 miles on it vehicle, I mean, gets you a tiny home, 3 to 5 acres, and a wood stove in there, and some other stuff actually. And here in Kentucky, that's not only doable, it's not hard to do on top of that. So for those of you out there looking for land, it's real. I mean, I myself am putting out the feelers, and I'm not actually saying this to, attract anybody to you, any of you people to it, but I mean, I have a 10-acre farm that I'm trying to do a 10 to 15-year lease on at $400 a month. I mean, that's with a pond and a barn. It has everything on it. I mean, $400 a month? I mean, my buddy that I've known my whole life has been telling me for decades, literally, about how important passive income is. And he's right. But I've just been busy taking care of my wife, who died, been busy doing a million other things, trying to stay afloat financially and otherwise. And I've always known how incredibly important it is, but I mean, people that can't get a house out there, you're going to have to broaden your spectrum, take your blinders off and start seeing out like this. So that stuff is out there. And that's really important, because land is really the most important thing that you take care of, that also in return takes care of you. I know about property taxes. I mean, Kentucky's, by the way, has basically the cheapest property taxes in the United States. I mean, just flat out does. My 75-acre farm up in far eastern Kentucky, the property taxes on it last year were $112. 75 acres, $112 property taxes. I mean, yes, that's, if I'm lying, I'm dying. That is absolutely real. So, the reason I've been so busy and not made so many videos these past few weeks, a couple weeks, is I've been in Florida. I did take a vacation, which I really needed, but I've also too been, working on outfitting a cabin for these lovely folks that are friends of mine. Solar setup and batteries. So these are some of the. There's no order of importance here. But some of these things, actually number one on the list, and I never, you can go to all these websites, and I've looked at them just like see if there's something that I hadn't thought of. And I swear to you, basically all but a couple of them left out the fact that the most important thing to have is water filtration. You know, you could have tons of water in your basement, bottled or otherwise, but water filtration really does need to be at the top of your list. Everybody should have a Hiker Pro. There's different types of water filtration for the number of people and how long you intend it to last, but everybody should have like a Commodities Hiker Pro. Actually, you don't need the Pro model. The Pro is just clear plastic versus translucent plastic. Extremely reliable, divinely simple. There's almost nothing to go wrong on them. So that's a Commodities Hiker water filtration. Once again, what you need depends on how much water you're talking about and how many people you're trying to keep hydrated, obviously. So, things that people don't consider as a form of money that itself would vanish, like one of the first few things that would vanish in a situation where there's a collapse. And a lot of people think, well, gold and silver and freedom seeds and other things are a form of money. So too is tonsil varnish. You know what tonsil varnish is, right? Tonsil varnish and candy. This is true, but things that people don't think about are solar panels. This, by the way, this is a 100-watt solar panel. It's not foldable. I actually recommend getting, that's depending on if you're moving or not. Are you going to be mobile or are you going to be stationary? This is also 100. I mean, this doesn't weigh hardly anything. Here you go. I've got like, what have I got? I think I got like 5 or 6 of these suckers. There's only like 2 outfits, I think, that make them. It's a bifold, 100-watt. There we go. You can see how big it is right there. This is perfect for like charging your phone and your iPad, your iPhone, Android, whatever the heck it is you've got. By the way, now thanks to my friends, I have a satellite phone. That's one thing I've actually always wanted, but I couldn't justify it due to monthly fees. But now I actually do have a satellite phone, and I consider that to be incredibly important. I've always known how important it was, but I couldn't justify it with the amount of money that I make. But now I actually have a true sat phone. But this is a 100-watt. If you get like a 200-watt or 320-watt, which is the largest I recommend, even though they have 450 and 550, 440 and 550-watt solar panels, wouldn't recommend getting anything larger than the 320s, which are down in my cabin right now, powering it, well, actually feeding into a battery bank. Is that you can get solar panels now, the most advanced current technology, at less than 70 to 80 cents per watt, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's been ridiculously cheap at $1 a watt now for quite a few years, but now they've gotten significantly cheaper. So, and this itself, if a grid goes down, this, of course, you need charge controllers, you need power inverter, and you need some cabling, of course. It's not just about batteries and solar panels. But other than those things, the charge controller, inverters, and the cabling, your solar panels and a couple of these. Now, you're not going to run your dryer on them, okay, or your hair dryer, even though you could. You're not going to run everything, but like high-efficiency LED lighting, mini refrigerators like these. Everybody, we all make fun of these, and this is actually really important. This isn't even on my list. I turned around. It's like, this is incredibly important. This is what I have a couple of up in my cabin, because these are the same ones you see in hotels, these little mini fridges. Yeah, like, it's a crummy little mini fridge. It's the stuff you see in a hotel. These are incredibly power efficient. And you have 2 of these in your house or your remote location running these suckers. And that's what I have going right now, running nonstop. And also, too, my buddy's cabin. You have a couple of these running off of, and he only has one in his cabin. I have significantly, I have 3 of these in the cabin. There's the 200 amp hour lithiums. Of course, you could drain a lithium a lot deeper. He has just one of these that's running his mini fridges non-stop. These are real, and they're like $89. This is an Igloo model. They have like 5 or 6 different names. This one's a Medea. The Medea, the Igloo, I got another one right over there. These are great. I mean, they're amazing. Like if the power goes out, you know, to keep like your medicine and like your important stuff cold that you don't want it to spoil. As much as we don't really like these, they're incredibly power efficient, they're very lightweight, and they're like 90 bucks. Some places are like 110 bucks, but you can find them like at Sam's Club, Costco, 90 bucks. There's probably only like 2 or 3 outfits that make these little suckers. I love the heck out of them. They're absolutely great. That's something I didn't actually have on this list. So folding 100-watt solar panels, water filtration is number 1. Batteries, like these, nobody talks about them in those terms, but these suckers are money. With a power inverter, okay, and a 200 amp hour, which can run a lot for quite a long time. The power inverter and a 200 amp hour battery, and of course something to charge it with, solar, whatever you have, right? These are money. That's just not my opinion. That's a fact. Things that actually double as necessities and are currency. Because if you need it, other people need it too. Here's really the top one, a form of money that I guarantee you basically nobody mentions. By the way, I just picked this up at my local surplus store. This is industrial duct tape, and it's a huge roll, 10 bucks. Check out your local surplus stores. This is made up in Cincinnati. I forget the name of the company. Anyway, it's a mil spec. It's a huge roll of industrial duct tape. Also 2 electrical tape. Deck screws. You want to talk about something that's worth money? Here's another reason why to have solar. And I love my DeWalt tools and lithium battery packs. I have like 24 DeWalt tools, which you get every tool in the world, including lighting, by the way. Yeah? My power drills, my saws, pole saw, sander, on and on. My favorite tool in the whole world, and I got 2 of them. The best tool on the planet Earth is a battery-powered, flywheel-driven DeWalt framing nailer. Bam! Bam! Oh my God, you can build anything super quick with that sucker. Recharge those batteries with my DeWalt battery charger with these. So it goes solar to this battery, to the DeWalt battery to be able to build absolutely anything. So anyway, stainless deck screws, or you can get the 25-pound deckmate screws. The best one are, what are they called? Drive right screws. They have the highest rating as far as the amount of torque you can put on them before they break, on and on. I think they're called Drive Right. There's something right, R-I-T-E. I have a bunch of them. Those are also 2 stainless deck screws. Get them with the, not the Phillips head, but with the star head. Or they call them the, what do they call that? Torx head? We all here in the South call them star head because it looks like a star. Because you can really put some torque in there without stripping the head. Decks, that is a form of money. You want to talk about something that's actual money? A handful of deck screws. Your name's like, well, you know, I'll trade you a jar of pickles for a handful of deck screws. That stuff is money. You get a 25-pound box of deck screws, and I got like 3 of them in the basement. And they're 100 bucks a box. They got quite a lot of screws in them for 100 bucks. That is money. You can fix anything, build anything, do anything. By the way, my framing nailer, #1 best, most useful tool on this earth. DeWalt battery-powered framing nailer. Unbelievable. I wish someone would have told me about those suckers decades ago because they're so useful. Spices. Salt, sugar, pepper, lemon juice. Here's something that has multiple uses. You can cook with it. It keeps your skin hydrated, keeps the poison ivy off your skin, keeps the bugs and ticks off your skin. Is coconut oil. Will last basically indefinitely if you keep it chilled. Coconut oil. Teas and coffee. #1 thing, really, that's a type of currency. I'll let you figure out what I'm saying. Is freedom seeds. Pew pew. Guess what freedom seeds are? That is money. canning supplies, the clear type of Russian tonsil varnish, which I don't drink at all, but I have a lot of tonsil varnish that I picked up at Costco. I mean, it's a cleaning supply, it's a disinfectant, it's a form of money. You can cook with it, you can make tinctures with it, you can preserve fruits and veggies in it. You don't have to drink it, you just pour it off. It keeps things from molding and going bad. Blankets, first aid supplies, especially any type of antibiotic. Boxes of bar soap. You want to talk about something that's pure gold? Like 2 or 3 boxes of bar soap. Yeah, pick the good stuff, not like that cheap garbage. Axes. Axes back in the old days were a form of currency, and they are still a currency. Not so much now, but man, when it hits, axes themselves will be a form of currency. I don't think that or feel it. I know that for a fact. Have lots of spare socks and shoes / boots. I can make my own footwear. You can't see it over there, but I've made my own sandals. I know how to make. My monster sewing machine over here can sew through anything. It's the most powerful sewing machine in the world. It's right over there. I know you can't see it. So, lots and lots of shoes and socks. Long burn beeswax candles. The ones that last countless hours, like boxes and boxes of those, that also too, not only incredibly useful, but is its own form of currency. Storm-proof matches. This is specific. They're made by UCO, UCO. Go look up UCO, UCO storm-proof matches. Though not that you're ever trying to light anything underwater, but you stick them underwater, they're still burning. I have quite a few of them, and they're really quite incredible, quite amazing too. Duct tape and electrical tape, gas and water containers. I have quite a few of those. I actually, even in the basement here, have 2 55-gallon empty drums for holding water. Need water for everything. Cleaning, cooking, it's everything. I recommend the 55-gallon barrels, which you can get actually really quite cheap. Once again, I can't tell you how important. If you need to know the model, I'll tell you the model. I can't remember the model off the top of my head. Battery-powered, not a pneumatic, but a battery-powered DeWalt framing nailer. My God, that is such a useful tool. You could charge people to rent it. It's like, hey, how much do you need to pay you to borrow your framing nailer for a few hours? Tarps. This is a country form of currency because you use it to cover your firewood, you use it to cover your roof, you use it to do. It is amazing what folks in the country use big blue or black or silver tarps for. They're just completely indispensable. You got 4, 5, 6 packs of tarps. Man, you rule the world with a framing nailer and a few packs of tarps. High efficiency, long life light bulbs. They're pretty darn cheap. You get a 6-pack or an 8-pack of light bulbs. You should have more than a 6-pack or an 8-pack, but I recommend anybody have at least 3, 4, 5 packs of LED light bulbs. On the higher end of the scale, really important is a motorcycle or an ATV. Having redundant forms of transportation. ATVs to get around to meet your neighbors, go pick up things, to use them to stalk out food. Gobble, 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 and deer, you know. That's basically what everybody in the South has is an ATV. Motorcycle. This is basically the short list, but the important stuff of things that will be the first to vanish. My friend also too sent me a tub. You can kind of see it back here. I love these things. These are just like absolutely heavenly. They've only got 2 ingredients in it, basically 1. Organic dried apricots and water. Even though they're dried fruits, check out this brand. It's called Fruit Bliss. You know, like dried fruit, it's like you're chewing on beef jerky. It's just nasty. It's just, you know, it gives your teeth a battle. It's fighting with your teeth, trying to pull your teeth out. Yeah, oh my God, these are so soft and decadent. They must have been made by angels. They have figs and other things, and I got, oh yeah, here's the, I don't know if I can reach it over here. There we go. Oh my God, same company, Fruit Bliss. You should really try these. they dehydrate them and then they slightly rehydrate them. So they're very, very soft. They don't give your teeth a fight. You know, it's not like Rocky Balboa, you know, Rocky 3.0 or 2.0 or whatever. Not fighting your teeth, you know, just, oh, they're so heavenly. 2 ingredients, once again. This one, organic dried figs and water. Basically, it's just 1 ingredient. You know, the water doesn't count. The water is in there to begin with. Really, really good. Anyway, if there's anything you think I could add onto this list, especially like if it's region specific, like, well, this is what we need out in Arizona. We need widget dehydrators, and you know, you don't need those in Kentucky. But here in Arizona, where it's 120 degrees in the shade, we need widget combobulators. That'd be the first thing to vanish in a stinky brown stuff hits the fan situation. Widget decombobulators. I'm sure there's something regional. Yeah, one last mention before I let you go. You know, I was telling the truth the whole time. I transform leather, and I stick it in my sewing machine. Yeah, sew it up, and I cut it up, and I sew it up, and then I transform leather goods into things that I want. It's like, well, I really want one of these because I'm building something, this Romeo red dot. So it goes from leather roll to my skilled hands into the sewing machine, then it gets shipped off, and then I use that money to buy things that I need and or want. Yeah, isn't that neat how that works? Skills themselves always pay dividends. Thank you so much for watching. And oh yeah, I cut the heck out of my 3 fingers here. Is that I was putting in a mini fridge into my friend's cabin, and I was loading it into my truck, and I let the cardboard around the mini fridge slip through my fingers, and the sharp cardboard edge, I mean, it just literally tore the living heck out of my fingers. Look at these 3 nasty cuts on my fingers. That was dumb. That was dumb. If I wasn't so busy, and it was, you know, slightly heavy refrigerator, but not. It was a medium-sized mini fridge. This is a small mini fridge, and that one was a medium size. It slipped through my fingers. Cut the heck out of me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely day.